found with the business clubs is in some flocks there are some ewes going into lambing that are a bit leaner than what we'd actually like them to be. And obviously then with the difficult spring, use lean condition going out milking, and where they've got, you know, 2 or more lambs, you know, in some cases it may actually be better to pull one of those lambs off, send a ewe out with a single. Obviously nobody wants to do that and have more lambs for artificial rearing, but the risk is by leaving 2 lambs on a very lean ewe is that you either lose both lambs and you get a poor condition again. So there is some benefit of considering pulling one of those lambs off. Ideally be cross-fostered onto another ewe, but if that isn't possible, and if the ewes have maybe a lot of triplets, a lot of, you know, prolific ewes, then you know, there is always going to be need for some artificial rearing. But talking to people about it, there's obviously a lot of concern over the performance of lambs which are artificially reared, and they sort of never do very well and that kind of thing. So with that in mind, we've just put together a fact sheet really on artificial rearing of lambs and some sort of tips really on how to get it to work. When it comes to financials, obviously it is quite hard for it to stack up, especially if you include all your labour costs, but it can actually be done. So at the very minimum you break even, and ideally you do make some money from these lambs. And the main thing there really is to get the lambs to perform as well as they can. And it is actually perfectly possible to get artificially reared lambs to perform, you know, as good as anything else. And I know from some flocks where they've had, you know, sort of lambs growing at 400 grams a day, going up to 12 to 14 weeks, so it is actually possible to do that with the right system. And but if you can plan ahead to actually deal with these lambs, that has a huge impact. So know where you're going to put young lambs that are going to be artificially reared, and also have a system then for moving them on as they get older. And obviously the better conditions they can be housed in, that's going to improve their survival and performance as well. So things like ventilation, light, space, hygiene are all really important throughout, you know, doesn't matter how old they are really. Probably the first thing really is colostrum, and that's the main message really, and I think that's probably one of the problems where these lambs don't perform very well. It's because they haven't had enough colostrum, and that is really the vital element, is to get enough colostrum into them, either from the ewe itself or artificial colostrum. And once you've got that, that's really the building blocks then for the next step. So once they've had enough colostrum, and in the fact sheet there's targets for what they do need for the first sort of 24 hours, then we're questioning moving them on to milk. Getting them trained onto milk powder is, some people find it quite taxing. I actually find using some automatic feeders which keep the milk warm, that can help. But really, as soon as the lambs are trained onto that, they're fairly safe going on to cold milk quite quickly. Obviously there's various systems. Bottle feeding I don't recommend. It's very hard to keep the lambs adequately fed unless you've got very few. They never seem to do quite as well, so I don't really recommend bottle feeding. But even something like a milk bar is they're quite cheap to buy, so £20–30, a couple of tubes into a bucket, as long as you keep everything nice and cleaned out. Fresh milk twice a day, the lambs can do perfectly well on that. It's important not to get too many lambs to each teat, so don't have too much competition. But again, that's where the planning comes in. So if you've got a system where you can keep different age lambs separate, obviously there will be some grouping, but one of the key things is not to have them too spread out in ages. So if you can get a series of pens set up that you know you can put different ages into, then that has a big impact. And then when it comes to weaning them, it means that you can wean them at the right age at the right time, saving money on milk powder and getting the optimum performance as well. So it's definitely the first step is colostrum. And then the other thing to plan for is isolation facilities as well. So if you do get a problem like watering mouth or scours or some kind of disease, it's very easy to isolate the lamb. Obviously they've got to be still close at hand so you can see to them and treat them as required, but separate from the rest of the lambs so they can't contaminate anything. And again, if you do get a group of lambs, ideally you don't want them much more than 10 in a group when they're young. Try not to add new lambs to that as well. So it's a bit like some of the principles really of rearing sort of calves, where you don't want to introduce too many new animals and risk disease. So it's all about having a system in place really of moving them up along the chain. And like I say, bedding is very important. Access to creep really from about 10 days of age, and also a good sort of palatable source of fibre, and also clean water as well is very important. You really want them to be eating creep as soon as they can, because the cost of milk powder means the quicker you can get them onto creep, the better really, and the more cost effective it is. When it comes to weaning, I think probably abrupt weaning is the most appropriate way of doing it. You need to make sure they've hit certain targets. So really they've got to be ideally at least 35 days old. they really should be weighing about 2.5 times their birth weight, and ideally consuming a certain amount of creep. The kind of ideas I've heard to help sort of manage the process is to use different colour spray marks for different weeks. So if you do have lambs from maybe different ages, because you haven't got that many, it helps then work out which ones you do want to wean at different ages, and really sort of monitor them. I think the other problem people get with artificially reared lambs is turning them out as well, and obviously that's a difficult decision to make. Early season lambs, it's much easier to justify housing them until they are ready to be sold. Later season lambs, it's a judgment call, but I think that's probably where the biggest problems do occur, is when they're turned out, and that's just due to sort of worms and different disease challenges. So if you do have somewhere where you can actually keep them in and they are performing very well, it can actually be better for them both in terms of performance and also welfare to keep them inside till they are ready to go. But again, you want to have them plenty of space to move around, and just, you know, sort of, they need some quality of life as well. So obviously a shed like this, which is nice and airy, lots of bedding. If I had artificially reared lambs in here, try and put a few straw bales in, they could jump around and different things. So like I say, plenty of space, and they should do just as well as lambs really reared off the ewe.